Part 125. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1241. When Xiao Ming first came, he knew nothing about the war between the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Knights. But now it is not the case. Thousands of clone soldiers and officers died at Xiao Ming's hands. The soldiers knew less, but the officers knew some inside information. At the beginning, Xiao Ming used telepathy to obtain some information. But then, the souls of these soldiers and officers were taken into his own underworld. That's easy. The judges in the underworld, that is, the 36 Hades warriors of the Tiangang Star, can read their life stories. In the past, there were many creatures on Quafu Star, and the underworld was busy all the time, so there was little time to check the life of a certain dead person. This is actually a very lost thing for Xiao Ming, the Hades. Checking the life of the dead can increase the experience of the civil servants in the underworld. Without spending decades to go through someone else's life, you can gain the other person's life experience. Although it is second-hand, it is very helpful to improve the realm of civil servants. Other Hades and judges were promoted step by step, and they were always at ease. The territory they were in charge of was not too large. They had time to learn these experiences. But Xiao Ming was a nouveau riche. He skipped the previous steps and was directly promoted to Hades. At the same time, he skipped the process of gradually expanding his territory and took charge of the reincarnation work of an entire planet. He ate a fat man in one bite, and now he can't digest it at all. He did get a lot of merit, but his realm experience was improved very slowly. If this continues, I really don't know how long it will take for Xiao Ming to be familiar with his work and gain experience from it. Coincidentally, he entered the reincarnation space at this time. The work became easy all of a sudden. Because in the reincarnation space, the outside world is equivalent to being still. There are no more large numbers of Quafu Star dead souls pouring into the underworld. Many Ghost Messenger clones are idle. In the world of Star Wars 3, Xiao Ming's underworld will only absorb the dead souls nearby. Those who are farther away are not taken care of. At this time, only the souls of more than 1,000 clones and some other creatures who died in the hour or so were sucked into the underworld. For example, small animals affected by the war, flowers, birds, fish, insects, and so on. The number is very limited. Therefore, Xiao Ming's ghost clones have enough time to handle the business. For intelligence, the clones will naturally check the life of the clones. What's more convenient is that the life of clone soldiers is much simpler than that of normal people. Because they are people made by Kamino people using cloning technology. Ordinary soldiers need 20 years of growth and training. But clone soldiers only need 10 years of cultivation. Their combat literacy is more comprehensive than that of natural soldiers. And they still retain a certain degree of independent and innovative thinking, which makes them far more suitable for solving various situations in war than robots. At the same time, this also means that there is almost nothing else in their minds except combat knowledge, and there is not much life experience to speak of. Xiao Ming can easily check the information they know. Especially those officers know more. The most critical information is that all clones have secretly implanted organic chips in their brains to ensure their loyalty. And this chip is Sidious's conspiracy. Order 66 is hidden in it. The directive identifies the Jedi Order as traitors to the Republic, and they must be eliminated without delay and without hesitation. As Sidious's conspiracy fully surfaced, he used the widely covered communication network to contact the loyal clone commander and issued Order 66. The clones instantly turned their guns on their Jedi generals. They fired at the Jedi Knights who were unaware of the truth and killed more than 90% of the Jedi Knights. Only 2 people survived the Supreme Council. Anakin had already betrayed, so it didn't count. In this reincarnation world, this order is also a death warrant for the reincarnations. Almost no reincarnations survived. Who made the main mission this time so difficult? Even if someone found the chip, they would only think it was a means to ensure the loyalty of the army and would not suspect other aspects. With so many clone soldiers, it is impossible for the chip in their brains not to be discovered. Therefore, Sidious could not set the chip to only obey his own orders, otherwise he would have been exposed long ago. He had to set the loyalty of the clone corps to the Republic Parliament. Only then could he pass the ball and sneak in. At this time, Sidious, as the Speaker of the Galactic Republic, had the power to issue orders. Without the identity of the Speaker, he could not activate Order 66. Even when he ascended the throne and became emperor later, he did not launch a military rebellion, but buried democracy with the most democratic means. The reorganization resolution was passed with a high vote in the parliament, and the Galactic Republic was reorganized into the Galactic Empire, so that the Clone Corps could be smoothly transformed into the army of the Galactic Empire. The whole conspiracy was linked together. Xiaoming understood and guessed most of it from the life of the clones, including Order 66. But there were some things he still didn't know. Before, it was actually Anakin Skywalker who discovered that Speaker Palpatine was actually the Sith Lord Darth Sidious. At that time, he still had a little conscience and reported the matter to Master Mace Windu, who stayed in the temple. Mace Windu immediately led Master Sastine, as well as Jedi Knights Kit Fisto and Agan Kolar, to capture Chancellor Palpatine. This behavior is legal, because the Sith are the enemies of the Galactic Republic. It was only because Anakin turned against the enemy that Mace Windu and 4 others were killed. Sidious took the opportunity to activate Order 66 and strangled all Jedi Knights. At this time, 99% of the Jedi Knights were in the dark. The same was true for everyone in the temple. Fortunately, Mace Windu was not the only one who knew that Chancellor Palpatine was the Sith Lord. Among the Jedi Knights who stayed in the temple, there were 2 others who knew. Master Windu did not need to keep the secret. It was just that he was confident in his strength and did not publicize it. In fact, he did seriously injure Sidious and even disfigured him. There was a reason why Sidious deliberately showed weakness. However, Master Windu's strength is also unquestionable. It's a pity that no one expected Anakin to suddenly turn against him, which led to his unfortunate death. The 2 insiders who stayed in the temple were not very senior characters, and their ability to adapt to changes was too poor. Besides, Master Mace Windu did not leave instructions in advance, and they did not expect Mace Windu to fail. As a result, in the original book, the Jedi Temple missed the golden time for counterattack. All of them died in the battle to defend the temple. Of course, this cannot be blamed on them. After all, the Jedi Knights are mainly to cultivate their character, and most of them are novices in politics. Even the Masters of the Supreme Council are only slightly experienced. When it comes to conspiracy and intrigue, they are no match for Sidious. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1242. Forward Leader, squat down quickly and don't stand out. A child pulled Cheng Xiaoming's sleeve and asked him to follow the Jedi Knight's instructions and squat down to avoid possible dangers. Cheng Xiaoming was reincarnated into the world of Star Wars 3 through the reincarnation disc. This time he happened to be reincarnated as a child who was receiving training in the Force. The person talking to him was another kid with blonde hair, who looked like a tiger-headed boy and was very cute. Although Cheng Xiaoming knew there was no danger, he still obeyed and squatted down. There is no need to be pushy at this time. Not long after the mission began, a dozen Jedi gathered the children together to protect them. Among these people were Xiaoming's 2 followers, Sui Ke and Fei Ying. The 2 brothers and sisters came here specifically to protect Cheng Xiaoming, who didn't have much power. Since Cheng Xiaoming is always reincarnated and his body changes frequently, it is not convenient to establish an energy network in the body. Even if it is established, all the previous efforts will be wasted after reincarnation, which is such a waste. Therefore, Chen Xiaoming only has strong mental power and can use some mental skills. All other telekinesis, microcosm, ninjutsu, and other abilities cannot be used. He was too lazy to retrain various supernatural energies all the time, so he just used mental skills. However, the few times he was reincarnated in reality, he entered a world where he could not even use his mental power. Chen Xiaoming was completely powerless. It's even better here. With Hai Ai and Yukina, it would be safer. After a month of special training, he was taught by an experienced master Huan Hai. Fei Ying's current strength has reached a level. It exceeds the combat power when participating in the dark martial arts tournament in the original work, even surpassing his original strength. Although Yukina is not very interested in fighting, she is very dedicated to learning and developing her healing and protective abilities. The current strength is also pretty good. He is a good logistical treatment team member. Both of these brothers and sisters have Zanpakuto shallow attacks given by Xiaoming, and they have now reached the level of Hokage. If a Shinigami knows the true name of his Zanpakuto, he can call upon it to unleash the Zanpakuto's true form and power. This kind of thing will be different if the Rinnegan has obtained a blank Zanpakuto, or if the Rinnegan has it on his head. It is up to the user to develop the Zanpakuto's initial ability. Hai Ai's Zanpakuto is called Black Dragon. It was created by Hai Ai by combining Black Ryaha's moves with his Zanpakuto. 1-U003E2, Black Dragon is extremely powerful. In addition to being an extremely sharp sword, it can also transform into a Black Dragon wave form. This allowed Fei Ying's strength to break through a level in one fell swoop. Yukina's Zanpakuto is called Shirayuki. Yukina is a snow girl monster who is born with the ability to manipulate ice and snow. She naturally incorporated her natural abilities into her Zanpakuto. Xiaoming thought she would come up with a Zanpakuto similar to Hiren Meru. Unexpectedly, her Zanpakuto was not in the shape of a sword, but just like flying snowflakes. Gorgeous! In addition to freezing, these snowflakes can also heal wounds. In extreme cases, white snow can even freeze a dying person. I will find a way to treat it later. As you can see, although she has no intention of hurting anyone with her Zanpakuto, her quick freezing ability is still very powerful. It is also very convenient to use against enemies. Xiaoming has already thought about putting all these children in Guangmingding or Kunlun if things don't go well. Save their lives. As for the adults, I am definitely willing to help. Whether they are obedient or not depends on their own choices. Children have no right to choose. Even if they don't want to, Xiaoming will take them all into Guangmingding. The arrival of Fei Ying Suike is also to help Chen Xiaoming in this matter. This group of Jedi in this room is waiting for another group of Jedi to make a decision. In the hall, everyone was listening to an insider's story. Well, a few hours ago, Anakin Skywalker suddenly came back to see Master Mace Windu. He said that Chancellor Sheev Palpatine was the Sith Lord we have been looking for. So Master Windu led 3 Jedi Knights to capture the speaker. No news after that. It now appears that Master Windu has failed. I'm afraid the odds are stacked against me. After saying this, the man looked gloomy. The other Jedi Knights also looked ugly. At this time, someone asked, "Let's ask Skywalker. Where is Anakin? Why hasn't he appeared?" Yin Xiaoming smiled bitterly and said, "Haha, Anakin has betrayed us. He is the one who leads the clone army to siege the Jedi temple outside." What? Impossible. No way. N. Many people started making noises. Almost no one believed what Xiaoming said. How did Xiaoming know? Through the souls of those clone officers, of course. Others find it difficult to believe at first glance. You know, Anakin Skywalker is a rising star among the Jedi. His master was Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Together, the two of them made great contributions to the Republic and the Jedi Order through life and death. Fame resounds across the galaxy. Obi-Wan is a very good character and the most popular among the Jedi. It was hard for everyone to believe that his apprentice could be a traitor. Seeing that everyone didn't believe it, Xiao Ming was helpless. "Oh, forget it, let me show it to you." From their location, they could see the siege outside through the window, and Xiao Ming's mentality changed. Various natural elements transformed into clones gave way to an area. In order to let everyone see the battle scene directly, Xiao Ming also deliberately put a group of clone soldiers next to Anakin. Anakin was overjoyed, thinking that he had to let go of a group of clone soldiers who were not very dangerous because he had exhausted the opponent's strength. With these people around, he can be much more relaxed. Just now, he thought he was dead. So at this time, he tried his best to protect every soldier. At the critical moment, they can all help him block the gun. They can't die casually. Clone soldiers are the most loyal, Darth Vader is their commander, of course they will focus on protection. Seeing Anakin and the clones fighting together, everyone in the hall no longer had any doubts. Suddenly someone shouted, "Ah! I know." Looking at the questioning eyes of others, he immediately said, "He must have killed Master Windu." Another person suddenly realized and immediately echoed, "Yes, Master Windu is very powerful. He is the biggest stumbling block for the Sith. They must have set a trap and killed Master Windu." Xiao Ming heard it and thought it made sense. But it wasn't like that. When Anakin came to report, he hadn't really betrayed. The situation at that time was, Master Windu wanted to execute Chancellor Palpatine directly, but Anakin thought that Chancellor Palpatine had a way to help him save his wife's life, and if he died, everything would be over. In a moment of desperation, he injured Master Windu. Then Chancellor Palpatine killed Windu directly, and Anakin could no longer turn back. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1243. The Jedi Knights who stayed in the temple knew that Master Mace Windu was in danger. You know, he has always been the backbone of everyone. Everyone was waiting for Master Windu's instructions, but they lacked some subjective initiative. They did not consider countermeasures in time. Now that it is basically confirmed that Master Windu will not give any more instructions, everyone started to think. To be honest, Xiao Ming is an outsider, and he knows nothing about the status of Jedi Knights, the relationship with the government, and various connections. Asking him to think of countermeasures is like asking a blind man. For the time being, Xiao Ming can only use his advantage in force to protect his own people and fight against the enemy. As for how to deal with the current complicated situation, he is helpless. At this time, everyone's eyes naturally gathered on a female Jedi Knight Master. She is one of the 12 members of the Jedi Supreme Council, Master Shakti. Shakti is a Togruta, a humanoid race from Chile. She has a pair of blue and white stripes on her head with strange curved horns, and her face is painted with red and white camouflage, which looks like a Peking opera mask. Shakti's swordsmanship is superb, and her combat power is A-level. She is praised by two top masters, Windu and Yoda. Speaker Palpatine often appointed her to protect him and rewarded her many times. Now that I think about it, Sidious should have intended to win her over or even rebel against her. It's just that he didn't succeed. But the repeated attempts to win her over also planted the seeds of doubt. Because of this, Windu did not inform Shakti when he went to capture Palpatine. If she had helped, he might not have failed. Of course, it is also possible to put her in with him. After all, Sidious is the top master among all the Sith Lords, and Anakin Skywalker is a genius among geniuses. In the original book, when Darth Vader led the Clone Corps to clear the Jedi Temple, Shakti died at the hands of the other party. At this time, as one of the few members of the Jedi Supreme Council in the temple, she naturally has the highest decision-making power. Madame Jocasta Nu, please lead 5 Jedi Knights to the library and archives to use the emergency beacon. Contact all Jedi Knights who are not in the temple and tell them that Chancellor Palpatine is the Sith Lord. He controls the clone army and is purging the Jedi Knights. Tell them to be careful. Don't return to the temple easily. After finishing this, you must protect the archives. Once. At this point, Shaak Ti did not continue. But the meaning of the words is already very clear. I understand that at the last moment, I will destroy all the information and will not let them fall into the hands of the Sith. Madame Jocasta Nu's old face showed a resolute expression. She pointed to 5 Jedi Knights and left. She is a veteran Jedi Knight master with agile skills and a fiery personality. Although she looks old now, her combat power should not be underestimated. Of course, she is definitely not the top one. She is probably around B level. She has always been the library and archives manager of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. Her status is no less than any member of the Supreme Council. After looking at their backs for a few times, Shaak Ti turned to another female Jedi Knight Master. Master Depa, I will go to the liaison room immediately and declare Speaker Palpatine as a Sith Lord in the name of the Jedi Supreme Council and issue a wanted notice. At this time, she sighed and said, alas, I don't know to what extent Palpatine's power has infiltrated, and our announcement may not be effective. It depends on you here. Depa nodded solemnly, don't worry, I must kill Anakin and Palpatine and avenge my master. The words were very tough, but the 2 female masters knew that this was wishful thinking. They were no match for any of them. At this time, all they could insist on was the determination to die together. Of course, before the clone army came in, the Jedi Order could also abandon the temple and flee. But doing so would mean completely abandoning the capital and allowing Sidious to take power. Shaak Ti felt that it was not yet time for this. There was still a certain chance of winning. It would be too late to escape at the last moment. The first thing to be sent out when escaping was the children. The group of Jedi Knights protecting the children had been in contact with the Jedi Knights in the hall. Thanks to Xiao Ming for delaying long enough, the Jedi Knights were able to organize and coordinate in a unified manner. Even if they were really attacked at this time, they might not be unable to defend. The Jedi Temple should not be underestimated because of the original plot. Master Depa, who is at level B+, is actually a member of the Supreme Council. But she is too young and her prestige is far from enough. Her master is Master Mace Windu. It is conceivable that she hates Anakin and Palpatine. Originally, Shaak Ti had a higher fighting power, so she should lead the Jedi Knights to fight here, leaving Bilbo to contact the government. But seeing the sadness and hatred in Bilbo's eyes, Shaak Ti knew that she had to leave Bilbo here. If it weren't for the smoke and fire outside, Bilbo would have rushed out to fight Anakin. Shaak Ti was still worried, and before leaving, she solemnly warned Bilbo. The battle here is entirely commanded by Bilbo. If she loses her mind because of hatred, the defense battle of the temple will be in disarray. Everyone will probably die. Such a heavy responsibility is placed on Bilbo, forcing her to calm down. Concentrate on arranging defensive tactics. Master, how long can the means you have arranged outside the temple last? Give me the best and worst estimates, Bilbo asked solemnly. Yin Xiaoming smiled slightly. The best estimate is this. As he spoke, he raised his right hand and drew a golden halo in the air. With a snap, a bloody body fell from the halo. It fell in front of everyone. This person's hands and feet were broken, leaving only the lower half of his body and head. Everyone looked closely and saw who else but Anakin. It turned out that Xiaoming had dealt with Darth Vader in such a short time. Using a cannon to kill mosquitoes is Xiaoming's favorite way of fighting. When Darth Vader's force was exhausted, all of Xiaoming's flying swords, along with 4 Susanoo, suddenly launched a fierce attack. Darth Vader barely managed to hold on with all his strength, but he had several more bleeding wounds on his body. The soldiers who fought together had long been dead. However, just when he thought he was safe for the time being, a black shadow attacked from behind, and 2 of his hands and feet were cut off. After that, the black shadow disappeared again. The one who committed this tragedy was the insect man Neferpitou. Her strength was not inferior to Darth Vader. It was even more difficult to defend against sneak attacks when the enemy was at its weakest. Anakin did not deserve it. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1244. The Jedi Knights in the Star Wars world are, how should I say, somewhat similar to Naruto. The attack power is high enough, but the defense power is generally too low. The lightsabers they wield can cut through just about anything. Even though Nephibit had almost the strongest body among insect humans, Xiao Ming did not dare to let her take on Darth Vader's lightsaber. Intuition told Xiao Ming that it must be the result of being cut in 2 with one sword. He only has 2 personal guards, Zhangzhong and Nephibit, and Xiao Ming is reluctant to part with them. After holding it in until the end, he released Nephibit as his trump card, and as expected, Anakin was crippled with one blow. Of the 2 villains, one was taken care of first. After that, Xiao Ming instantly took her back into the Guangmingding. This trump card must be kept. Facing this world, Xiao Ming did not dare to trust others. Recently, the insect humans under his command are approaching the 10,000 mark, which means that the 3rd personal guard is about to appear. Xiao Ming is looking forward to it. Speaking of Jedi warriors, they wield lightsabers blessed by the Force, and their attack power is very high. But its own defense is really lackluster. It seems that the only way to use a lightsaber is to bounce lasers. Even the laser guns of ordinary clone troopers can kill them with cold shots. It can be seen that the Jedi Knights still have many shortcomings in the development of the Force. Why haven't you thought of developing some more defensive moves? There's nothing you can do about it, that's how the original work is. If you are a reincarnation, you will be targeted by the reincarnation space in this world, and it will not be so easy to grasp the weaknesses of the Jedi. Only Xiao Ming, a distinguished guest, will not be targeted by space, so even top masters like Darth Vader can be killed by Xiao Ming. The captured Darth Vader saw Master Depa Bilaba, who glared at him, and other Jedi Knights. He immediately knew that he would definitely not end well. In fact, Xiao Ming's aperture teleportation move just now was very eye-catching. It's just that in this short period of time, the leader has shown too many abilities, and everyone has become a little numb. Besides, the current crisis in the temple is not the time to dwell on such trivial matters. Even Darth Vader himself, who was teleported, didn't have this spare time. Anakin always believed that he was more powerful than his new master, Darth Sidious. Since he has fallen into trouble, Sidious will definitely not be able to get any better from him. Just now, he hoped that the master would arrive in time, and with the help of the 2 of them, they might have a chance to escape. Now of course this is no longer possible. As the saying goes, words are good even when a person is about to die. At this time, Darth Vader finally regretted it, and he was also concerned about his wife Padme, who was about to give birth. Generally speaking, a person's fall is gradual, especially for an originally good guy like Anakin Skywalker. In the original book, the main reason why he was tempted by Chancellor Palpatine was his wife Padme Naberi Amidala. Secondary reasons include the death of his mother, his own pride in his own strength, his desire for power and status, etc. In the Force, Anakin sensed that his wife would die while giving birth to a child. Anakin, who had just suffered the pain of losing his mother, was very worried about this. Chancellor Palpatine used this to seduce him and deceive him, saying that the dark side of the Force had a way to save his wife. At this time, his conscience was still intact. The dark side of the Force was something that the Sith studied. He immediately reported to Master Windu that Palpatine was the Sith Lord. Anakin thought that Master Windu would capture the speaker, and he still had time and opportunity to find out how to save people. He didn't expect that Master Windu would kill someone directly. He was so anxious that he took action against Master Windu. There will be a series of things that will make him fall deeper and deeper. For example, massacring everyone in the Jedi Temple, including the children. A series of killings made him completely lost, and feelings of self-centeredness and arrogance occupied his heart. Later, because of a misunderstanding that his wife Padme betrayed him, he even attacked his pregnant wife. Completely forgetting that his original purpose was to save his wife. It really takes 3 years to learn well and 3 days to learn badly. It seems reasonable to say that he essentially has the seeds or tendency to become bad. However, most people actually have this tendency. It's just that most people don't have the right external factors to cause their own depravity. Besides, Anakin also came to his senses before he died. Of course, this is not to whitewash Anakin. The sins he committed cannot be washed away. It's just that Anakin was forcibly stopped by Xiao Ming before he reached the bottom. Thinking of his own fate, thinking of his wife, thinking of the unborn child, thinking of Obi-Wan, who was both a teacher and a friend, and a brother, and all the things in the past. He woke up in advance. Anakin suddenly used all his remaining Force power to communicate spiritually with the leader. He is worthy of being a genius among geniuses, even though it was his first time meeting the leader. He also felt that this person was the one who defeated him. Even though there were several people, he was definitely in spiritual communication with one of them. The meaning of communication is also very simple. Anakin does not expect to survive, nor does he want more people to know about his wife. This is a taboo after all. He just hopes that the leader can take action to protect the safety of his wife and the healthy growth of his child. He is willing to pay any price for this. Xiao Ming was definitely willing to protect the elderly, the weak, women and children. He immediately communicated with him with his spirit and made his promise. He also hoped that Anakin would tell him everything. Anakin naturally obeyed everything. While Xiao Ming used healing magic to stop the bleeding and heal his wounds, he explained everything very straightforwardly. First, he told the most important thing, the death process of several Jedi Knights such as Mace Windu. Master Depa, who learned the truth, almost couldn't bear it and chopped Anakin with a sword. Fortunately, Xiao Ming was always vigilant, and the leader's guard stopped her in time. Then, Anakin told the matter of Order 66. Now more people were boiling. Many of their masters, apprentices, relatives and friends were fighting in other parts of the galaxy. These people were isolated and helpless, and there was almost no possibility of survival under the sneak attack of the clone soldiers. How could they not be anxious? This is exactly the case. Those Jedi Knights outside the capital were almost killed or injured. At this moment, a little girl named Bainey ran over. She was one of the Jedi Knights who had just followed Master Shakti. She came to report an important news. Shakti contacted officials of the Galactic Republic government and put forward a request for the arrest of Chancellor Palpatine. However, the official who contacted her was Palpatine's lackey. How could he agree? He went around in circles with her, but she just didn't agree, and asked the Jedi Supreme Council to provide evidence. If the Bank Republic government firmly disagrees, Palpatine's status as Chancellor will not be revoked. Then Order 66 will not be revoked. All Jedi Knights will continue to be hunted down by clones. What should we do? Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1245. Bainey is very anxious. The current predicament is still too heavy for a 20-year-old girl. She almost cried. Outside the temple is besieged by an army of clones, and the temple is in danger of falling at any time. Communication with the government has been fruitless. The bureaucracy of the Galactic Republic government is extremely serious. If they insist on arguing with the Jedi Supreme Council, a delay of 10 days and a half will be short. At this moment, Bainey was a little confused when he suddenly saw the half-cut Anakin. Of course she knew Anakin and had always looked up to him as a role model. Seeing that Anakin's hands and feet had been chopped off, and his body was scarred and stained with blood, the little girl was incoherent for a moment. Anna. I don't know how long she will be able to say and now is not the time to stutter. Master Depabai Rabba immediately interrupted her. Okay, stop it. Turning around with an expectant expression on his face, he asked the leader, Leader, do you think we will execute Anakin to avenge my master? You must know that she is a member of the Supreme Council and a Jedi Master. The leader and others were just ordinary Jedi Knights. Logically speaking, Bilaba is the one who can make the decision now. But she actually kept her attitude very low and took the initiative to seek the leader's opinion. The reason is simple. In their eyes, the leader and others are definitely masters who hide their secrets. And they are so low-key, I have never heard of their reputation. If the Jedi Order hadn't been in danger of annihilation today, they might still have kept a low profile. This kind of open-minded character is really admirable. The leaders can be said to have turned the tide. Stop those smoke, fire, thunder, and lightning, things like that kill the clone legions. The Jedi guessed that it was probably a high-tech product, some kind of military weapon such as a mine. Being able to think of burying them around the temple in advance shows that the leader and others were well prepared. Why do they prepare in advance? In other worlds, this is hard to explain because you can't explain it clearly. But in the world of Star Wars, that's an easy answer. The leader and others must have sensed some fragments or silhouettes of the future through the Force. Jedi Knights all have the ability to predict or sense the future to a certain extent. Didn't Anakin just sense his wife's future death scene? It's just that he never expected that he would try his best, even betraying the Jedi Temple, and finally discovered that his wife's death was caused by him. In the original book, Anakin degenerated so much that in his anger, he almost strangled his pregnant wife to death, which broke the heart of Padmé Naberi Amidala. The reason why Padmé died after giving birth to 2 children. It is estimated that she felt that she had no hope of life and gave up her life on her own initiative. I hope she won't be so unreasonable in this life. The Jedi believe that the leader and the others must have sensed something, but they cannot be 100% sure. That's why I took precautions, purchased a large number of high-tech weapons in advance, and quietly arranged them. As for the leader's method of dealing with Anakin, it's actually easy to understand. Using the Force to move objects is something that almost all Jedi can do. Controlling hundreds of flying swords at the same time, most Jedi Knights are not at this level. However, the Jedi Knights believed that the leader and several people were operating separately. Each person controls about 20 flying swords. Although they can be powerful, they cannot be said to be shocking. Those purple giants, Susana, are not surprising at all, they are nothing more than some kind of light and shadow effect. Since they had not seen Susanoo's battle scene, it was understandable that they would think so. People are like this. As long as something can be explained with the knowledge they know, they will rarely speculate in mysterious and unknown directions. If they knew the true nature of those abilities, jaws would drop in the hall. Of course, the leader's last move of drawing a circle of light and teleporting Anakin's body was really powerful. However, it is not beyond everyone's imagination. This kind of thing has happened before. 2 Jedi warriors who have a telepathic connection can send things to each other even though they are thousands of miles apart. The leader has just developed a similar ability, so it shouldn't be too surprising. What is truly rare is the low-key character of the leader and others. The Jedi Order is one such team. Compared to a Jedi's combat prowess, they valued his character more. This is also the reason why the combat effectiveness of those who have obtained the title of Jedi Master is uneven. Even in the Supreme Council, there are a few masters who are only highly respected and not outstanding in terms of combat effectiveness. Of course, it's not particularly bad. This was one of the issues Anakin had with the Council. His combat prowess is among the best among the Jedi, but he has never been awarded the title of Master. At such a young age, Anakin has not yet reached the stage where he can neither be happy with things nor sad with himself. They attach great importance to honor and fame. So deep down I was always angry. Of course, Anakin's rebellion was not caused by a single factor, and it cannot all be attributed to this aspect. This characteristic of the Jedi Order has its pros and cons. Xiao Ming couldn't tell whether it was good or bad. However, if he knew what those Jedi were thinking, he would definitely say misunderstood. The reason why I have kept a low profile before is because Xiao Ming actually came into this world today. There is no real before. These identities were arranged by the reincarnation space. Xiao Ming has taken several fake identities. The past of these identities is of course not obvious. It has nothing to do with being low-key. Xiao Ming couldn't make up his mind about Bilibas' problem. The key is that Xiao Ming doesn't know what the creeds and rules of the Jedi Knights are, and he doesn't dare to give advice casually. What if he says something wrong? Wouldn't it be troublesome? Even if normal reincarnations say something wrong, there is a space to clean up their butts. But Xiao Ming is a VIP, equivalent to a plot character. If he says something wrong, he will have to bear it himself. Fortunately, his follower, the fox demon Kangma, suddenly spoke. Masters, this person cannot be killed for the time being. Think about it, this is living evidence. Doesn't the Republic government not believe it? Let's let Anakin confront him face to face and see what they can say. Yes. I'll take him to Master Shakti right away. Baini was the first to figure it out. She came here to ask for advice on this matter. Kurama gave such a good suggestion, she was overjoyed, picked up the half of Anakin and ran away. The rest of the people were also happy, thinking that things should be turning around. Taking this opportunity, Kurama continued to say several suggestions. After a brief discussion, the Jedi Knights implemented them one by one, with few objections. In this regard, no one can compare with Kurama at this time and place. Xiao Ming also had a smile on his face. It was easy to have a subordinate with a high IQ. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1246. Your grilled meat is so delicious. Come on, grill another 20 pieces. Isla Sakura, who has blue skin, ate the grilled meat while speaking incoherently. We want some too. Asterisk 2, Xiaohong and Xiaolu also joined in the fun. Okay, Xiao Minglu was helpless and continued to grill the meat obediently. Looking at the strange creature from Felucia that had been eaten most of the time, he shook his head. I didn't expect that Sakura, a female Jedi Master with such a slim figure, could eat so much. Isn't she afraid of getting fat? You know, Sakura is also a member of the Jedi Supreme Council. If she really gets fat, how can she attend meetings with other committee members? Epsilon equals Omicron asterisk, alas, it's also my fault. Why did I make a double strengthened grilled meat? Now, Sakura's mouth is slippery from eating, and I have to bear the consequences. Moreover, the two followers are also causing trouble. Xiaolu, why do you want to eat grilled meat as a tree demon? Xiaohong, you ghost, eat some yin qi. It's a waste to give the two of you barbecue. But I dare not say these words. Xiaoming complained in his heart while grilling meat happily. He actually wanted to have a good relationship with the committee. Xiaohong and Xiaolu were used to eating Xiaoming's fortified food. Mingming was being hunted, how could they have so much leisure time and still grill meat? Aren't they afraid that the fire and smoke will attract enemies? In fact, they hid deep underground in a room made by Xiaoming using alchemy. No matter what they do in this room, they will not be discovered by the enemies outside. Xiaoming left a lot of parasites in the outside world, and can use Taoism to observe various situations in the outside world. You can go out at any time. Speaking of which, this colorful planet Felucia is a bit like Pandora in the world of Avatar. There are separatist rebels on this planet. Isla Sakura served as a general and led the clone army to clear the enemies here. When Green Xiaoming, the leader's left guard, rescued Sakura, they were also in a dilemma. Both the clone army and the separatist army were their enemies. It was very difficult to find friendly forces. In fact, Xiaoming himself had the strength to deal with all the enemies on the entire planet. Different methods would take different amounts of time. However, Sakura was soft-hearted and didn't want to kill people. So he planned to hide for a while and find a way to get in touch with the temple first. So Xiaoming made such a spacious and bright basement. Before entering the basement, Xiaoming hunted a prey to show his courtesy. Unfortunately, at the beginning, Sakura was in a very low mood and had no appetite to eat. Xiaoming could understand her mood. Those clone soldiers were her long-term partners and friends. They had fought together. Especially the clone commander Bly, Sakura treated him as a brother. It was very uncomfortable to be betrayed suddenly. Of course, Bly had already been burned to ashes by Green. Moreover, Sakura instantly realized the huge crisis hanging over all Jedi Knights. Since the clone soldiers around him would rebel, it means that the clone soldiers scattered throughout the galaxy would also rebel. Then, the fate of the Jedi Knights with other clone soldiers can be imagined. If it weren't for the rescue of the subordinates of the leader's left guard, he would have died. Even he couldn't prevent it, and others might be in danger. Sakura was very anxious about this. After that, she received an emergency communication from the Jedi Temple, and learned that even the temple located in the capital was besieged by the clone army. Sakura was even more uneasy. It was not until Xiaoming captured Anakin and basically solved the crisis of the temple. Sakura, who received the news, felt relieved. The temple has not fallen, and there is still a chance for everything. She has decided that she must find an opportunity to get a spaceship, go to Coruscant, and fight with other Jedi Knights. Until then, she suddenly felt, wow, the meat roasted by the leader's left guard is really delicious. She immediately turned her grief and anger into appetite and ate a lot. Only when you are full can you go back and fight with the Sith. Jedi Knights are not cowards. It is precisely because of this that in the original book, after the 66th Order, many of the surviving Jedi Knights returned to the capital to find opportunities to assassinate Darth Sidious or Darth Vader. Unfortunately, due to lack of skills, they were all killed one by one. After eating and drinking, Sakura clapped his hands and said, I will go to the clone barracks now and find a way to get a spaceship. Are you coming? Sister Sakura, where are you going? Xiaohong asked doubtfully. I want to go back to the capital and live and die with the temple, Sakura answered firmly. But, Xiaolu objected, didn't the communication tell you to wait for news and not go back? Indeed, they said so, but I am a member of the Jedi Supreme Council. How can I hide at this time? Sighing, she continued, alas, let those young Jedi Knights live, forget it. Xiaoming and the other two looked at her and found it a little funny. Because Sakura herself was young and beautiful, it was really inappropriate to say such old-fashioned words. Sakura set his sights on Lu Xiaoming. He said, I think the situation in the temple is not optimistic. The chances of survival this time are very small. I shouldn't have dragged you into the water. After a pause, he continued, it's just that the three of you are too powerful. If you join, the Jedi Temple will have a better chance of winning. As he said that, Sakura actually knelt down on both knees in front of Xiaoming and the other two. I have to beg you, for the justice and peace of the galaxy, please come with me. As long as you agree, after this battle, I am willing to be your slave. Please. Sakura's words were actually quite excessive. In her cognition, the Jedi Temple in the capital was in crisis and life was in danger. If several people died, would they have to be slaves in the next life? But this exotic beauty had no choice but to pray. She knocked her head heavily on the ground, breaking her forehead. When she was about to continue knocking, Xiao Hong and Xiaolu rushed over to support her. Of course, even if she wasn't supported, she couldn't kowtow the second time. When she kowtowed the first time, Xiao Ming really didn't react in time. Who would have thought that the guy who just wanted to eat barbecue would suddenly do such a big ceremony? But the second one naturally wouldn't let her continue. Lord Sakura, what are you doing? You are too polite, too polite. We are also Jedi Knights, and we have no choice but to do it for the temple. We will go back with you, and I have a way to get you to the temple immediately. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1247. After long-term use and running in, Xiao Ming has integrated the Zerg's mental skill wormhole and Kamartaj's teleportation magic. These two abilities were not much different. Maybe the wormhole ability is larger and more durable, but the teleportation aperture is not much different. The two are integrated into a new ability portal, which is smoother, more convenient, and easier to control. And it directly consumes a small amount of source energy. With a nervous mood, Master Ila Sakura passed through the portal and came to the Jedi Temple. More than a dozen Jedi Knights, led by Master Shakti, welcomed her arrival. The two female humanoid Jedi Masters hugged each other tightly and cried bitterly. The revenge of the Sith had only started for about half a day, and the huge pressure had made it difficult for the two members of the Supreme Council to bear. The female Jedi Knights present also cried, and even 2 or 3 men shed tears. Everyone persuaded for a long time before giving up. Master Shakti stopped crying and began to introduce the current situation to Master Ila Sakura. In fact, the current situation is much better. Otherwise, everyone might die at any time, and they don't even have time to cry. The Jedi Knights living outside the capital suffered extremely heavy losses, and most of the Jedi Knights are dead at this moment. Those who are still alive are also hiding from XZ, and their lives are in danger. When Order 66 was issued, the members of the Supreme Council were treated with special attention by the Clone Corps. Commissioner Ki Adi Mundi, Commissioner Plo Koon and others died. Master Yoda is worthy of being the pinnacle of Jedi Knights and easily killed them. The surviving Jedi Knights include Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, Maris Broad, and so on. Unfortunately, some of their followers were killed or injured. These so-called followers are the reincarnations. Hearing the news of these people's deaths, Xiao Ming couldn't help but sigh. At this time, Xiao Ming didn't know that they were all implicated by himself. The surviving Jedi all received the emergency communication from the temple, and the others hid temporarily, but Masters Yoda and Obi-Wan must come back. In addition, Mary's was also stubborn. She didn't even get the title of Master, and she was determined to come back for revenge. Master, can you use this portal to bring Master Yoda and Master Obi-Wan back? Master Shakti proposed to Yin Xiaoming with great interest. As long as Master Yoda comes back, she won't have to bear such a great pressure. In addition, just 10 minutes ago, several Xiaomings, except for Green Xiaoming who was not in the temple and Orange Xiaoming who was still a child, were promoted to Jedi Masters. With such strong strength and such great contributions, no one opposed the promotion of the Master and others. It can be said that it is what everyone wants. Master replied to Shakti with some embarrassment, This portal is not opened casually, it needs to be at both ends. Halfway through the words, Xiaoming felt that his spiritual world was invaded by someone. I quickly immersed myself in the past to check. I found that it was no one else, but the green dwarf, Master Yoda. Although Xiaoming had never seen him, he had seen his portrait several times in the temple. He recognized him at a glance. Sun Xiaotian and Phantom Cat, who were responsible for defending Xiaoming's spiritual world, were confronting him. But they did not fight. To be precise, Sun Xiaotian and Phantom Cat both felt the power of the other party and did not dare to act rashly. Seeing Xiaoming's spiritual projection appear, Master Yoda smiled kindly. Shak Ti is right, the master is really amazing. This is the first time I have seen such a huge spiritual world. Unfortunately, it is not solid enough. You must be extra careful and never fight Darth Sidious head-on. If he invades your spiritual world. As expected of the strongest Jedi Knight, he saw the fatal flaw of Xiaoming's spiritual power at a glance. Other Jedi Masters have devoted themselves to tempering their spiritual cultivation, and their spiritual world is very solid. It will not be easily broken. Xiaoming is far inferior in this regard. Although Master Yoda did not say anything absolute, Xiaoming understood what he meant. If Master Yoda was hostile, he would definitely have to pay a huge price. Even with Tsukuyomi, he might not be able to defeat an S-level master. Xiaoming immediately bowed to learn. An anxious look also appeared on the face of the projection. Master Yoda was able to invade his spiritual world from far away in other galaxies. Sidious was in the capital, close at hand. What if he did this? Others were not afraid. They could not reach the level of Yoda and Sidious. They would be crushed by Xiaoming's huge spiritual power, and a little bit of insufficiency was not a problem. Yoda saw Xiaoming's worries. He immediately comforted him and told Xiaoming that it was very unlikely that Sidious would do this. First of all, neither of them would easily invade anyone's spiritual world. This kind of invasion consumes too much force. This is a very dangerous thing. Almost everyone has a considerable home advantage in their own spiritual world. If one thing goes up, the other thing goes down. If you invade the spiritual world of others at will, it is easy to be defeated and never come back. If Master Yoda had not been in an emergency and had a certain degree of trust in Xiaoming, he would not have been so reckless. Secondly, the leader is now in the Jedi Temple. This is Master Yoda's home ground, and he is familiar with everything in the temple, including the fluctuations of the Force. Therefore, he can enter Xiaoming's spiritual world so easily. Sidious does not have such convenient conditions. Again, Yoda came with good intentions. Without malice, there is no automatic counterattack in Xiaoming's spiritual world. If it were Sidious, even if he could use this method to destroy Xiaoming, he would also be seriously injured and consumed. How could he bear it? Finally, Sidious is now seriously injured and dare not do such a suicidal thing. He is a veteran of Star Wars. In Star Wars 1, he was already very old and did not die until the finale of Star Wars 9. It took decades for Anakin's grandson to grow up before he was killed. Even Master Yoda, Master Obi-Wan, and even Anakin's son were exhausted by him. How could such a person take such a big risk with his life? But then again, Sidious will not take risks, which does not mean that other masters in other worlds will not. So the problem of Xiaoming's spiritual world still needs to be solved. Master Yoda promised that after the battle, he would teach Xiaoming what to do. Even if he died in the battle, his heroic spirit would fulfill his promise. Similarly, the leader had to go all out in this war. Xiaoming readily agreed. With the spiritual connection established with Master Yoda, Xiaoming took some effort and successfully opened the portal to take Master Yoda to the capital. Forget about Obi-Wan. Although Master Yoda could also force a spiritual connection with him, it would consume too much energy. There would be a fierce battle next, so he had to retain his strength for the time being. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1248. With the return of Master Yoda, all defensive measures of the Jedi Temple are fully activated. 3 layers of huge energy shields enveloped the entire temple. Prior to this, Master Shakti also had the power to activate the temple's defenses, but some of the defensive measures had not been used for hundreds or even thousands of years. Just like this energy shield. The Jedi Temple is located in Coruscant, the capital of the Republic, and shares a shared destiny with the Republic. If the temple was attacked, it meant that the capital was also attacked. This kind of thing almost never happens. The temple's defensive measures have never been activated. Fortunately, the Jedi are more disciplined, and even though they don't know how to use them, there is still no shortage of daily maintenance. So that these defense methods can still be used. If it were any other institution in the Republic, it would have been broken long ago due to various reasons. In the original work, Darth Vader leads his elite force, the 501st Clone Legion, assaulted on the Jedi Temple at lightning speed. As a result, all defensive measures were not activated in time. Otherwise, even an elite regiment like the 501 will surely suffer huge losses. In this life, Xiao Ming blocked the clone army and captured Darth Vader alive, gaining valuable time for the temple. Master Shakti activated some defenses. Automatically fired laser guns and laser cannons blocked the entrances and exits around the temple. Because of Darth Vader's early failure, the 501st Legion and subsequent supplementary forces changed their tactics. They didn't dare to rush in stupidly. Plan to use long-range weapons to completely blow up the temple. The building of the temple is very strong, even if it is bombarded with cannon, it will take a while. Moreover, it is impossible to place weapons such as heavy artillery in the core area of the capital, and they need to be transported here from outside. It will definitely take some time. Sidious was not worried, there shouldn't be any accidents in such a short time. Unexpectedly, the accident really happened. The leader's portal ability is beyond the imagination of Sidious. Master Yoda returned to the temple in a short time and opened the defensive shield. Sidious, who got the news, regretted it too late. At this time, even if bombarded by artillery, the temple's defensive cover can withstand for a long time. There is certainly plenty of energy stored in the temple. At this time, construction of the Death Star had not yet begun, and the super laser did not exist. In the short term, the temple was impregnable. According to Karama's suggestion, Master Shakti no longer insists on arguing with Republic officials. Karama pointedly pointed out that many officials had been corrupted by Sidious. There is no use talking nonsense to them. The masses must be appealed to. Therefore, in the name of the Jedi Temple, Shakti issued a public message to the people, military, and officials of all planets in the galaxy. Tell everyone that Chancellor Palpatine is the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, and that the Clone Legion is Sidious's lackeys, and calls on everyone to rise up and resist. The reputation of the temple among the people is much higher than that of the Republican government. This call immediately triggered a firestorm all over the country. Especially after Anakin took the initiative to speak out, more and more people believed the temple's announcement. Many people who were originally on both ends of the spectrum have taken the initiative to change their ways. Anakin's failure made them scared. They believed that in Sidious's eyes, they were certainly not as important as Darth Vader. Now that Darth Vader is like this, he is very insecure. Although the Clone Legion is very powerful, they are simply unable to cope with the ubiquitous People's War. Karama's advice hit the mark. Of course, time is still short and all resistance is still hidden below the surface. Soon, the tide of People's War will break out. Sidious, an old fox, sensed the crisis in advance. he decided to destroy the Jedi Temple before a large-scale resistance movement could begin. So he actively mobilized his troops and punished the generals. As a result, all these efforts were in vain after Master Yoda returned and the defensive shield was opened. The situation gradually turned towards the Jedi. Kurama's second suggestion was based on the combat effectiveness of both sides. On the Sith side there are heavily armed clone legions, as well as an unfathomable Master Sidious. There should be no one in the temple who is his opponent at the moment. Although Xiao Ming's fighting ability should be able to give it a try, Kurama, who knew the boss's character well, did not let Xiao Ming challenge him in a one-on-one battle. He pointed out that the Jedi Order has a considerable number of mid to high-level warriors. Just form a combat team and use the familiar terrain of the capital. It is completely possible to deal with the clone army. However, the purpose of the battle team is not to eliminate many clones, but to deal with those officials who have been corrupted by the Sith. Human cloning is controlled by a chip in the brain and is not the main goal. On the contrary, these officials with little combat effectiveness played a big role. But it's also easy to settle. So the temple organized 2 such teams of 10, with Master Depa Bilaba and the leader's right guard, Huang Xiaoming, each leading a team. Fight guerrillas on the periphery. Xiaoming was still worried and sent the leader and defender Huang Xiaoming to Master Bilaba's team. With him here, it shouldn't be easy to reduce the number of people. In Huang Xiaoming's team, he brought his follower Xiao Xia. In addition, there are Zhang Zhong and Nefebit who are at Guangmingding and can support everywhere at any time. As long as these 2 teams don't encounter Sidious and are not besieged by the clone army, they will be safe. Sidious is staying at home now, so there is no need to worry about him. As for the siege, a large area nearby is within the range of Xiao Ming's map scan. It is impossible to be besieged. And there is another advantage of scanning the map, which is that you can distinguish the enemy and us at a glance. Who has defected to the Sith and who is still on the side of the Republic is clear at a glance. Master Depa Bilaba's team focused on clearing out these officials. The team of the leader's right guard went to the residence of Anakin's wife Padmé Naberi Amidala as the first stop. Xiao Ming promised Anakin that he would protect his wife and children. Naturally, he could not break his promise. Their team quickly found Padmé, as well as the 2 robots R2-D2 and C-3PO who were with her. In the original book, Anakin went home to explain the situation to Padmé half-truthfully after slaughtering the temple. In this life, he was captured, so that Padmé didn't know anything at all. She only heard that the temple was attacked. She was very worried about the Jedi Knights and Anakin. But she was unwilling to go to the temple with Xiao Ming and the others. The reason was that Anakin and Padmé's union violated the Jedi Creed. She was very worried that her husband would be implicated, and she did not dare to trust the Jedi. If Obi-Wan came, it would be better. Padmé trusted Obi-Wan. However, the Jedi who came were a group of Jedi she was not familiar with. She would not trust them easily. With Padmé's identity, the Jedi did not dare to force them. Fortunately, Xiao Ming brought a photo of Anakin, and Padmé decided to go to the temple. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1249. Padmé Naberi was born in an ordinary family. She was very smart and studious since she was a child. At the age of 8, she participated in the apprentice legislature and became an apprentice legislator at the age of 11. At the age of 14, she was elected Queen of Naboo. She was given the official title of Queen Amidala. After that, her full name became Padmé Naberi Amidala. Under the manipulation of Sith Lord Darth Sidious, Trade Federation Governor Newt Gunray imposed a blockade on Naboo on the grounds of boycotting ship taxes, and then assembled a large number of robot armies to invade. Queen Amidala was in a situation where she was doomed to die. Thanks to the rescue of Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi and his Master Qui-Gon Jinn, Padme was saved after a series of struggles and the rule of Naboo was restored. It was also at that time that Padme met the young Anakin Skywalker. 10 years later, she met Anakin again and they got married secretly. She was a very wise person and had a good way of governing the country. Unfortunately, she was blinded by love and her original ending was very tragic. Seeing her lover Anakin with his hands and feet broken, Padme was full of pity and hatred for the leader and others. However, the plot turned around and she learned that Anakin was seduced by Sidious, betrayed the Jedi Order, and turned to the dark side of the Force. She almost collapsed. In her heart, her husband should always stand on the side of justice. How could he be such a person? Then, she suddenly realized. She understood that Anakin was completely defeated by the leader, his limbs were cut off, and he was desperate, so he woke up. Now he can take the initiative to assist the Jedi Knights to expose Sidious's conspiracy. It seems that he was saved by the leader again. Her children will rely on the leader in the future. This back and forth tossing and reversal made Padme not know how to look at the leader and others. But it was impossible to have a very good face after all. With Padme's encouragement and support, Anakin felt very happy. He knew that his sins were great and he would definitely die. Before he died, he could see his wife, get her encouragement and love. He knew that his wife and children would be protected in the future. He died without regrets. He only hoped that he could make more contributions to the Jedi Order before he died, and make more deposits for his wife and children. At the same time, some government officials of the Galactic Republic were sent back to the Jedi Temple by the right guard of the leader. Among them were upright officials, and officials who surrendered to the Sith and were captured by Xiao Ming. They would naturally be treated differently. It can be seen that this team also did a lot of other things along the way. Huang Xiaoming would not make a trip just for Padme. On the way, he also handed over some of the weapons and equipment of the captured clone soldiers to the people who were loyal to the Jedi Knights. He even left shadow clones and 7 shadow clones everywhere to help and lead the people. Xiao Ming's parasites are even more scattered throughout the capital. In order to obtain first-hand information on the war situation. After sending these people back, the team members took a short rest and set off again immediately. After this operation, Huang Xiaoming's team members, Bani and other Jedi Knights, were convinced by the leader's right guard. Both command and combat effectiveness are impeccable. Originally Bani regarded Anakin as his role model. Now he has quietly changed his idol. In addition to these two teams, Xiao Ming also sent a special force composed of 2 people. They struggled in the computer network that was invisible to the naked eye, attacking the chips in the brains of the clone soldiers one by one. Use various methods to damage the chips. Without the chip, the clones are no longer controlled, and they can choose the next action according to their conscience. Because the clone soldiers have little life experience, they will still obey their superiors and follow the army in their habits. Even if the chip is destroyed, they may continue to attack the Jedi Knights. But the situation is much better than before. Especially when they see the bloody massacre of the controlled clone soldiers, they will be deeply touched and gradually change their minds. When there are more and more such soldiers, the quantitative change will lead to qualitative change. It will cause the whole army to rebel or revolt. The people in charge of this front are of course Mao Moer and Xiao Shenan, 2 spiritual computer programs. It is a rare opportunity for them to show their skills. This time they are very hard-working and have a lot of fun. In fact, at the beginning, Xiao Ming planned to let them attack the central computer system of the Galactic Republic. Wouldn't it be better to cancel Order 66 directly? However, the gap between the two sides is too big. The Republic that rules the entire Milky Way has a technological level that these 2 naughty children can handle. Helplessly, they can only use stupid methods to break the chips of a single person one by one. This work is very easy, and they are getting more and more comfortable with it. On average, a chip can be destroyed in less than a minute. It mainly takes a lot of time to find the chip. In addition, the results of their work will not be reflected until some time later. It will not be seen in the short term. Xiaoming didn't want to bury the contributions of Mao Mao and Xiao Sheneng. At the same time, he also didn't want the clone soldiers who had turned over a new leaf to be killed by the Jedi Knights by mistake. So Xiaoming said this thing that would obviously expose his strength openly and told the Jedi Knights in the temple. Pay attention to this situation. At the same time, Xiaoming also asked Mao Moer, Xiao Sheneng, and Xiao Xiao to come out and meet everyone. Compared with the panicked look of other children, these three cute children who were not panicked at all immediately captured the hearts of many female Jedi Knights. They were more popular than the leaders and other men. In fact, at this critical moment, the appearance of the three of them calmed down the excitement of many Jedi Knights, especially women. It is very helpful for the current situation. Mao Moer and Xiao Sheneng have merged with Xiaoming's mind beast. The form of existence is very special. The computing power is also super strong. One part of the human body can accompany the big sisters outside to play, and the other part goes deep into the network system to continue to do business. They even have the leisure to make some game helmets to let those panicked children immerse themselves in the game world. Of course, in this world, there is no connection to the host of the magic planet or the martial arts planet, so the children can only play some very simple games. Even so, it is enough. These children have been trained as Jedi Knights since childhood and have few opportunities for entertainment. The games provided by Mao Moer and Xiao Sheneng made them quickly forget the dangerous situation. After obtaining the consent of Master Yoda, Xiaoming quietly transferred all the children to Guangmingding. It is safer there. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1250. Almost all the children were well behaved and obedient, with the exception of two 10-year-old boys. They didn't want to play games and insisted on fighting with their elders. One of them was of course the leader striker, Orange Xiaoming, and the other was called Zetju Kaza. Several Jedi Masters looked at them differently because they were able to stand up at this time. They all said that they would accept them as apprentices after the battle. In the Jedi Order, the master-apprentice relationship is closer than that in the martial arts world. The master and the apprentice are always one-on-one. Until one of them dies, they will look for a new apprentice or master. This bond is very deep. The old rival Sith is the same. So in this world, proposing to accept an apprentice is a very important matter. It is even no less than getting married and having children. Because Jedi Knights are not allowed to get married and have children. In the original book, Zetju Kaza put up a heroic resistance. On the temple hangar platform, he killed several clone soldiers and was shot to death. Because of his fighting, Bail Organa, a decent and important figure, a member of the Galactic Senate, and later the leader and one of the founders of the Rebel Alliance, had the opportunity to fly an airship to escape from the temple. Otherwise, he would have died under the guns of the 501st Legion. Now that the temple is quite safe, the two children were incorporated into the temple guard led by Master Jindralig. Jindralig's apprentice is Bani. In the original book, they were both killed by Anakin. In fact, almost all the Jedi Knights Xiaoming met in the temple died in this battle. In name, the two children are responsible for protecting the temple, but in fact they are still receiving guidance from the Jedi Knights in the guard, and they are still training. In this case, Orange Xiaoming quietly gave himself the seed of the Force and learned all the knowledge of the Force from scratch. Try not to be too conspicuous. With the return of S-level Master Yoda and A-level Master Aayla Secura, as well as the joining of the leader's left guard, Green Xiaoming, Xiao Hong, and Xiao Green, the Jedi Temple suddenly became stronger. And Anakin also learned that Sidious was now seriously injured. So, a plan that was not dared to be implemented before was finally put on the agenda. That is the decapitation operation against Sidious. As long as he is killed, everything will be done. Kurama has never dared to say this proposal, because Xiao Ming had told him that although Sidious was seriously injured, he was still stronger than S level, and the masters in the temple might not be his opponent. Besides, Sidious has a strong army and a large number of clone corps to protect him. It is impossible for a group of masters to besiege Sidious. The one who made this suggestion was Master Depabiliba, who was very eager to avenge her master Mace Windu. It was just an impulse. Later, she naturally calmed down. She was responsible for leading another Jedi guerrilla team to attack those Republic officials who defected to the Sith in the capital. It can also be regarded as revenge in a roundabout way. Her mobility was a little worse than that of the right guard of the leader, Huang Xiaoming, so she had to return to the temple a few hours later. Just then, she learned the news that Master Yoda and others had returned. Depabiliba immediately remembered the previous idea, and hurried to find Master Yoda, and once again proposed the plan of Master Yoda leading the team to assassinate Sidious. It's a feasible plan, I think Master Yoda made the final decision. A group of masters rushed to sign up to participate. In the original book, Master Yoda went to assassinate Sidious alone, but he was a little bit unlucky and did not succeed. It's not that he didn't want to lead people, but that the Jedi Knights were all dead and wounded at that time, and there was no one available. In this life, Master Yoda is no longer alone. Especially after having several powerful helpers such as the leader. Master Yoda formed a commando team that is almost entirely composed of Jedi Knight Masters. The members include himself, Shak Ti, Ila Sakura, Depabiliba, the leader, Yin Xiaoming, the leader's left guard, the leader's right guard, Xiaohong, Xiaolu, and Xiajia. Among the 10 people in the group, only Xiaohong, Xiaolu, and Xiajia are not masters. Even Green Xiaoming, who has just arrived at the temple for a few hours, has been promoted to a master by the fire line. Xiajia is slightly inferior to the others in combat power, but he is a transformer and can be transformed into an armed bulletproof car, which can provide a means of transportation. Everyone believes that such a strong team will definitely be able to retreat even if they cannot kill Sidious. The possibility of failure is very small. Even so, there is still enough power left in the temple. Once the news of failure comes, the Jedi Knights will retreat immediately. The leaders who stayed behind included Lady Jocasta Nu, Master Jindralig, the leader's guard, Red Xiaoming, Kurama, Fei Ying, Sui Ke. After all, Master Yoda had entered Xiaoming's spiritual world and had vaguely felt the tacit connection between several Xiaomings. It was just that he was not sure what the situation was. Of course, this had also happened in the history of the Jedi Knights. However, this extreme tacit understanding was generally established between 2 people. The tacit understanding between 4 people was unheard of. However, he did not delve into it. At this critical moment, the appearance of the leader and others was beneficial to the Jedi Knights. It should be fully utilized. In the early hours of the next day, there was a rumble of artillery outside the temple, and the artillery of the clone army was transported. It began to bombard the temple's defense shield. At this time, all members of the commando team had received sufficient rest and nutritional supplies. Xiaoming was also ready for battle. By scanning the map, we know that Sidious is in the speaker's residence at this time. There is a corps of hundreds of clone soldiers stationed around. There are also many clone corps scattered at various street corners outside to prevent anyone from approaching the speaker's residence. Even if the Jedi Knights have enough strength to break through, they will inevitably suffer heavy losses and protracted. With this time, Sidious would have run away long ago. In the original book, Master Yoda was able to assassinate Sidious at close range. That's because the overall situation has been decided, and Sidious did not overprotect his own safety. He didn't expect that Master Yoda, who escaped, would actually go deep into the tiger's den. The situation is very different now. The war in the capital is getting more and more intense, and the crisis is everywhere. How dare the speaker take it lightly? With these troops, he can sleep peacefully. Unfortunately, the clone soldiers can only ensure that no one is allowed to enter the defense area. They are not so sensitive to bugs. Last night, Xiao Ming sent more than 200 parasites to secretly invade the speaker's residence, and more than 30 of them died on the way. Some were eaten by small animals, and some were trampled to death by people. It's okay for small animals to eat insects. Are those people crazy? In such a critical moment of war, they still have the mind to kill insects. I don't understand. At this time, the parasites have spread all over the residence, but Xiao Ming asked the parasites to stay away from Sidious. He is an S-level master, and even a bug may alert the other party. If you get too close, it is easy to alert the enemy.